This playoff season, there's only one place where we'll bet, and that's FANATICS Sportsbook. Yes, they're our presenting sponsor, but it doesn't make sense to bet anywhere else if you're a sports fan. Because when you bet, you earn fan cash, win or lose, which means that your bets get you closer to accumulating fan cash for authentic jerseys, hats, memorabilia, and much more. Winning just hits different with Fan Cash. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut residents, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts residents, call 888-327-5050. New York residents, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland residents, visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy, Jonathan Macri, with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast, coming at you at 7:42 p.m. on Tuesday night. Important timestamp because the Pacers and Cavaliers have just finished the first quarter of the basketball game that they are playing in Cleveland, Ohio. Cavs are currently up, so we won't have a final by the time we are done recording this, but we're still going to have a grand old time because I am here with my buddy, Andrew Claudio. Hello, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sure not to the extent you are, but still recovering from another marathon of production at Knicks Film School. And I appreciate everybody we haven't addressed the numbers that have been coming in from Knicks Film School's way, but everybody watching along with Knicks Film School, whether it's during the game or after the game or listening the next day or the day after the next day, we greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure reading along with the newsletter. And yeah, all of us Knicks fans have found ourselves in a pretty fascinating situation, a pretty fascinating spot that I don't know if a lot of people thought we'd be here, including us a month ago, let alone a day ago.
So what's funny about all of that is that Andrew still doesn't realize after all these years that I am like a cat. And if you mention something in a response to something that I ask that makes my mind go to a certain place, I'm going to abandon whatever it was that I was doing and immediately go to the thing that you've set my mind on. So when you're like, oh, the videos have been doing numbers, I just stopped what I was doing and I immediately went onto our YouTube page. And it looks like, 24,000 people have watched the Game 4 postgame show. How you doing? That's pretty good.
You could go back to Game 3 and see a big number. Game 2, Game 1.
Yeah, it's just great series.
Stuff. Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. There's a lot going on the audio feed as well. So thank you everybody.
What time did you get to bed? I was about to say this morning.
I crawled into bed at 6 a.m. and then shout out to Fred Katz because that was a 9 o'clock wake up call. And then shout out to Sam Vecini. I don't know if you know this, John. Yesterday was a pretty monumental day in the draft world because the lottery order was decided, which meant I had to turn a 90-minute mock draft into a 15-minute abbreviated version of that, which takes some time turning 90 minutes into 15. So that was my afternoon.
I may not know the difference between various Jenners, which I thank you to my lovely wife Dolores Cusimano Macri for informing me today. And I now I not only know the difference between the two of them, I know that one owns makeup brand, is apparently doing very well for herself, and the other owns a tequila company and is also a model. I learned these facts today.
Yes. Can I just add one other tidbit that you'll find very funny?
Sure.
An older sister that owns Skims. Shout out to our sponsor, Skims, who has been sponsor all season. We totally knew who you were.
I am wearing Skims underwear right now. I'm not going to
love the product. Have no idea who's endorsing it.
That's Kim, right? That's Kim Kardashian.
That's Kim. There we go. Okay.
So I know
there you go. We're catching up.
Smart. So no, you win. I got to bed at about 10 to 5, and as per usual, I don't know why this happens, but if I get to bed late enough and I have an early enough wake up call, it won't even be the alarm that wakes me up. I'll just like an hour and a half or 2 hours, because I know it's coming, so I just wake myself up. And took both kids to school because Dolores, again, shout out to my lovely wife, had a early seminar in the city. So I had to get up and mosey about town and I got to tell you, it was really, really cool walking around. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm sure, other parts of the city, Long Island, Jersey, any place in the metropolitan area are like this. Just seeing everybody with whether it's a Knicks hat, whether it's how many Brunson jerseys. It seems like every other boy between the ages of 5 and 13 that I walk past has a number 11 jersey on these days. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
Haven't seen it this century. No matter my affection for Karl-Anthony, this wasn't that. No. The popularity he's found, I think, can only be found in the Yankees and can only be found with Derek Jeter.
I thought you were going 99.
Aaron Judge, probably. I don't talk to enough Yankee fans, I think, because
seeing around. Are there not a lot of 99 jerseys?
I'm sure there are a lot of 99s. I
block it out.
Well, as far as the ubiquity of the jersey, the legendary status that Jeter took in the late 90s, yes. I every time you could wear a jersey to school, if it was pick your Met, if you're a Mets fan, and it was Derek Jeter if you were a Yankee fan. And that's what Jalen Brunson has really taken on. The number 11 will be if things continue in the direction that they are, will become as ubiquitous,
Who was your jersey on? Wear your favorite Met jersey to school today?
31, Piazza.
Oh, duh. That's a stupid question. What a ridiculous question that I even asked it. Anyway, so pretty cool morning to get up. I still have we both took naps before. Mine was not very long, but I didn't even need it because last night, it wasn't even, it was more than last night, because I think, again, I don't know how you feel. We've been doing this together for a while. Nick, I don't know if I should say this out loud, but it's the truth. Nick games are like work days for me. And you prepare. I know you do feel the same way. And you prepare yourself, and it's about getting, do I have to get the laundry done? Do I have to make the kids dinner? Do I have to do whatever else? And that has helped me, because I used to be someone that if there was a big game at night, from the moment I woke up, I was I couldn't concentrate on anything else. And this has kind of aided with that. Now, I found myself starting to bend before game 6 of the Pistons series, which is why I took the kids to see Thunderbolts at whatever time I took them to see Thunderbolts, 4 p.m. or something, just because I needed those 2 hours. I just couldn't. I needed to not think about it. Fast forward to yesterday to Monday, and not that I was nervous, but the enormity of that game and what it meant for this team, this roster, this coach, this front office, this organization, it was not lost on me. And I don't know about you. I went into last night feeling I did not feel this way for game 3, by the way. 100% for game 4, the winner of game 4 would win the series. Did you feel that way going in?
I did, in the same sense. We talked a little bit about this on the playback before the game started, that the topic around the pod you did with Jeremy, and a lot of smart people in the Knicks world just saying that this team is due for a starting lineup change. And digging around yesterday, I asked some people in the somewhat how likely is it? Do I even bother thinking that there could be a starting lineup change? Because to your point, it being a work day, shout out to FANATICS Sportsbook. I had to see what type of bets I was going to pick for betting and sweating. And I needed to potentially know, okay, that might be actually insider trading. I don't know. I'm admitting it anyway. But I'm trying to be as informed as possible.
And I took a Mitch rebound bet just because I didn't think they would start him. I did think he would play a lot, which turned out to be the case. Anyway,
I was wondering if the Hack and Mitch would have officially changed the strategy that we need to get him in before we're in the bonus, no matter what. And with how bad they looked in game 3, if that would officially sound the alarm that something needs to change. And I definitely thought whoever won the game would win the series. I also, that second half of yesterday was the first time the Knicks playing in the conference finals became real to me, like the potential of them playing in the conference finals. And it's not to take away from the fact that they already won 2 games in the series, but yesterday was the first time I thought they actually outplayed the Celtics for a stretch that wasn't coinciding with the Celtics missing everything or some weird like hot stretch at the end of the first 2 games, and as much as the Knicks earned those comebacks and the fourth quarter net rating in this series is insane, there was a sense, and I thought game 3 showed that out, that, this does still seem to be 2 different weight classes. And yesterday was the first time I thought the Knicks entered into the Celtics weight class. Like, I don't know how you feel about, we were on playback. We mentioned it a little bit. That was the weirdest up 2-1 with the chance to go up 3-1 game I've ever watched, because it felt more like a game with how perfect the Knicks needed to be. Like, oh, let's just avoid the sweep. Like, it's the weirdest game 4 I've ever watched. The way the Knicks had to battle, and it was so urgent. They have to get this win. And like, we're sitting there late in the fourth quarter before the Tatum injury, like, oh, they're actually going to win. And it's not like their first legitimate win, but it felt like the first time I actually thought they outplayed the Celtics in a game.
The only, now I'm going to hold on. This is exceptional podcasting. I wonder if you know what I'm typing in. You probably don't. So I just typed into my little browser 2004 Lakers, and we were talking about it like before the game or right when the game started, whatever it was about. And you said the same thing to me, and I said to you, well, of course there's never been anything like it, because when the hell has there ever been a situation where the team that was up 2-1 in a series, absent like some kind of injury situation, which again, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but maybe there's been some instance in NBA history where like a player was hurt for the first 3 games of the series and their team was down 2-1, but then they came back. Like, again, I can't think of one. And I just typed in 2004 Lakers because my recollection of the finals between Pistons and the Lakers was that it wasn't until really like the last game of the series when, now granted, I was a kid. I was 17 years old. Or no, sorry, I wasn't 17. I was 21 years old, but I still didn't know my ass from my elbow in terms of like, were there smart NBA people at the time being like, oh, the Pistons should definitely win this series? My recollection was like, it's Shaq, it's Kobe, it's Karl Malone, it's Gary Payton, it's the fucking Lakers versus the Pistons. Of course the Lakers are going to figure out a way to win this. So maybe that series was, because that was also 2-1 Pistons after 3.
Why that's a good example, if I can speak to how I remember it, and
please.
It echoes what you're saying. Like, I didn't believe the Lakers were going to lose that series, and more specifically, the Pistons were going to win that series until Game 5 was over. Like, I still came into that Game 5, and the Pistons went up by 20 plus for most of that second half. And I'm like, all right, the Lakers are going to come back and win, and then win games 6 and 7 in LA, right?
Totally.
And that's coming out of a Western Conference where that's the Derek Fisher shot in the semis against the Spurs, where it was like, these are the 2. That's the heavyweight match.
Yeah, that's the finals.
Decide the finals. Then there's the Kevin Garnett, the year he won MVP in the conference finals. And then we're in the Eastern Conference with the Pistons and the Pacers. The deciding game of that series, nobody gets to 70 points. And you're like, oh, like these are 2 different weight classes. Again, the analogy. And you get to the finals. And obviously, if you've read Jeff Pearlman's book, that there was some stuff going on with Kobe Bryant and the Lakers and Shaq that may have also flipped that series upside down unintentionally. Well, maybe even intentionally. Point being, the fact that, to your point, I was surprised that the Pistons won the series even as they were winning the series. And I felt a similar way last night, that the Knicks suddenly took control of the series, and you're just looking around like, wait, this is the first time I felt they've played well in the series, and they just took a commanding 3-1 lead. And it now creates an opportunity. 2000, John, you talk about being a kid in 2004. Do you have any recollection about May 2000?
May of 2000. Yes, of course I do.
Why? What was in May of 2000?
What was in May of 2000?
Yeah.
That was when the Knicks went to the conference finals.
Okay, I'm saying, do you have any recollection of anything else in your life? Your birthday was that month. Like anything else significant that happened in your life in the May of 2000? Do you remember?
You really want me to answer that? I don't know. I mean, he listens to some of these podcasts, so he I don't think he's going to give a shit. Yeah, my buddy Aaron.
I know Aaron.
Aaron, you know Aaron.
Yeah, I know Aaron.
Yeah. He made out with a girl for the first time.
Congrats to Aaron.
Yeah, it was a big moment for him. I don't know if I should. I'm not going to say the name of the young lady.
You shouldn't.
I won't. I hope she's doing very well for herself. But that was, and I was at. We had like through me, like I had started a relationship with a girl that ended up being in my life for a very long time, and like then like my friend group like all started co-populating with her friend group. So it was like me and her were first, but then who was dating who, and this, then the other thing. So that playoff run was occurring as all of that stuff was happening, and yeah, he made out with a girl for the first time during. I really want to say during one of the Knicks Heat games. I'm pretty sure, but I distinctly remember watching Game 7 of Knicks Heat from the girl's basement who he ended up making out with.
Gotcha.
Is that, I don't know if that's what you were going for. I'm guessing not. It's
a personal anecdote. No, it's not what I was going for. My mom became pregnant with my little brother in May of 2000. That's the context I get to give. That my brother's turning 25 in December, and I remember being in the middle of that Knicks Heat series when mom got sick, and I mean not to give too much advice, but my parents, advice is not the word, too much information I should say, like my parents struggled to have kids is what I'm saying, and so they were fortunate enough to have me, so I gave up having a younger sibling years ago. My brother and I are 12 years apart, and then suddenly like it was discovered why my mom was sick, and my dad goes, hey, you're gonna be a big brother one day, and 4 days later the Knicks are in the conference finals against the Pacers, and then 8-9 months later Peter was born. That's how long ago it was. Like my whole brother's lived a whole life, and here we are. The Knicks are potentially on the verge of making it to the conference finals. I have another question for you.
Sure,
because you're an NBA fan as well.
I am.
How have you balanced the fact that here in New York and walking around the city and it's blue and orange everywhere, the Brunson jerseys, and the front page story is what the Knicks have built and what they're about to accomplish, potentially what they have the chance to accomplish. Like you hear Izzy, like she's also excited about what we're about to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
How have you balanced that nationally and around the NBA? That's so the backstory to what happened last night with what happened to Jayson Tatum. I predicted it. I wrote in my newsletter intro to today. What's today? Tuesday? To Tuesday's newsletter. I was wondering, you predicted Jayson Tatum's injury? No, you predicted that.
No. After the injury happened.
The front page story. Yeah.
Yeah, I said, because my story that I wrote about the game was focused on the Knicks. But I said at the top, I'm like, look, Tatum's injury is going to be the biggest story from tonight. It should be the biggest story from tonight. And that's fine. And I was very comfortable with that. My only concern was that there was going to be a misremembering of history, recent history, obviously, that the Knicks were in that injury is what changed the game. That's the only thing that I didn't want to have happen. And I know Simmons has been catching some shit today, but I actually was pretty proud of him on the pod he did with Lowe for being like the Celtics were going to lose that game. Like the game had turned and they were going to be down 3-1 in the series. And was kind of struggling to reconcile that. Jayson Tatum is the most important player on the team that was I don't want to say until the injury, because again, if the Knicks win that game, they're up 3-1. My gut feeling is if Tatum does not get injured and the Knicks lose that game, it's probably 50-50 who wins that series as far as the odds go, right?
If the Knicks win that game and Tatum doesn't get injured, I think wait, what'd I say?
Yeah, no. If
the Knicks win that game and Tatum doesn't get injured, I still think the Celtics are favored to win the series.
Maybe slight favorites, right? Because they have 2 home games, and obviously they've proven they could win. They've proven they could win anywhere. So, like, that's like short of. I mean, how many players, if they were lost for a year, would it be a bigger story than Tatum being lost for the year? Jokic, SGA. I think that's it. I think that's the whole list. Because what?
Steph is the only one. You're watching what Steph is, but I mean, maybe Steph's at that point in his career.
He's already past that point. Jayson Tatum is 27 years old. Like, yes, there were going to be second apron concerns for the Celtics. There are going to be second. Now the whole Celtics summer, and I thought Zach and Bill did a good job kind of getting into the initial nits. You
don't have to credit them. We've all been talking about what the Celtics summer is potentially.
Well, no, but like
their money situation is.
Because my mind went to the place that they did. Like, I haven't heard anybody else say it out loud, but like, can they tank next year? Should they tank next year? Like, is there a Brown trade out there? Like, all this craziness that now is on the table. That's not the point. Is that this is now all out there in the conversation, and it's going to have to be out there in the conversation because of this injury. It completely changes the Eastern Conference. It completely changes not the league, but like, again, the Celtics would have still been favored probably to win it, or at the very least been close to favorites to win it with the Thunder. And I mean, regardless of what changes they made this summer, assuming Tatum didn't get hurt, I would think that they would have gone into next season as at the very least favorites to win the East again next year. And it's a historic franchise. The possibility of the first repeat champions since the KD Steph Warriors. So that's so much stuff. And it'd be one thing if this happened and it was game 4 of the NBA finals, or even game 4 of the conference finals, because it's game 4 of the conference semifinals and the Knicks have they have 2 more. First of all, they have to win this and then another game and then win another round and then win another round to get all the way. I don't mind that is where the conversation has gone today. All of that, and then the additional part of it, which is if and when the Knicks win this series, then there's going to be more than enough time to praise the Knicks if they win the series. So, I didn't have an issue with it, but that's me.
So where I'll go to in plugging other people and their content, I did a lot of Celtics pod watching last night. Shout out to the First on the Floor podcast. They had DJ on before the series.
Nice.
Before the series, they did.
I'd still listen to it.
Yeah. Well, it's on our feed if anybody wants to check it out and see how right or wrong everybody was. Their tone last night, they had 2 different episodes. There was the initial reaction, and then there was an additional therapy session where they sent out the StreamYard link and invited whoever wanted to cut any Celtics fan. Now we hear they did a 3-hour podcast and we laugh at them, right? But they normally do 45-minute episodes, and they went late into the night. And yeah, the fact that this injury didn't just ruin potentially the rest of the series for the Celtics, and this is like the tone I get from Celtics land and watching some of the reaction. But now next season, is now affected, and like the East is now wide open. And like Jeremy's talked about this a lot when he's watched this season. Like it wasn't about this year for the Knicks, and originally it wasn't about this year for the Knicks. You also have the chance to outlast the Celtics, and like, could that be next year? Like, obviously we have to get past this series and in the immediacy, which is why I've tried to balance the fact that the Knicks are still in a playoff series. The Knicks still have a lot of basketball to play, but it's human from a NBA standpoint to look at the big picture part of what that Jayson Tatum injury was and say, like, going into next year, it's feasible that the Knicks have similar odds, if not better, than the Celtics. And yeah, the fact that the Knicks window might have officially opened. Again, have to win the series, have to take care of business next round. But the Celtics, this is how quickly windows can close. And look, the way I've tried to process it is like, it's like if I was at my college graduation and I'm proud of that accomplishment and I'm walking across the stage, and as they're about to call my name, someone gets shot. And it's like, okay, we're still going to celebrate your accomplishment of graduating and go celebrate with your family. But the big story is someone got shot at your graduation. Yeah. And I'm trying not like to recognize what the accomplishment is for the Knicks while understanding like there's a big picture thing that does affect the Knicks. And it happened with the Knicks, like in the Knicks building too.
Look, I'm just going to say, if I was, I don't know if Fanatics, if our friends at Fanatics Sportsbook, I'm sure they do, have current odds on the Celtics to win the Eastern Conference. If I was a Celtics fan and I'm like wallowing my own misery right now, I would go put a few bucks on the Celtics to win the Eastern Conference this year. How would that be for a story for the Celtics without their best player to come back from 3-1 down, beat the Knicks, and then go into whether it's Indiana or Cleveland, and you know, if it is end up being Indiana, like again, they're a team that is not any kind of a super team. Not that Cleveland is either, but you know what I mean. I say that to say, like, this year is still not over for them. I know everybody's already putting this year as being over for them, and this, you know,
okay. You were about to give people bad gambling advice. Restart. 3, 2, 1, go.
You know, their season is not yet over. The Celtics. I know that's probably sacrilegious of me as a Knicks fan and content creator to say, but like,
it's also not the popular opinion amongst Celtics land either. I would.
I totally get that, but
plus 950 according to Fanatics Sportsbook, the Celtics to win the conference.
What is it?
Plus 950. They have the worst odds in the conference.
Yeah, of course they do. Like, I hope they lose by 45 points in Game 5 in their own building tomorrow, and I think there is absolutely a chance that they are just going to come out and they'll be emotionally deflated, and the Knicks will come out and take it as seriously as the Knicks should, and it won't even be a game. I think that's possible. I also think it's possible that they come out and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do this for Jayson Tatum. We're gonna give our best effort of the season for him in his honor and respect him with playing the way we know how, and make it a hell of a time and continue to make it a hell of a time for as long as they are allowed to continue to play." My point is that they still have basketball left to play. So I mean, talking about them and this team in the past tense, I don't know that we should quite be doing yet. Mm-hmm. I guess the reason I went to that place mentally when you asked about how wide open the East might be next year is, yeah, okay, but there have been so many years where it's supposed to go one way, and then what this team emerges or that team emerges, and you know, this young core takes a leap, or that team makes a trade for the exact piece that they needed. You know, no one had. I mean, people thought highly of Cleveland. No one had Cleveland winning 64 games this year. The year the freaking Atlanta Hawks won 60 games with the 4 All-Stars and Dennis Schroeder. Or Damari Carroll, sorry. You know, no one had that happening. Like, these things happen. Teams pop up and they become formidable out of nowhere, which is a long-winded way of saying, if you are the Knicks, pretend like the NBA is going to disband in 2 months and there won't be a next season. You have to do that. You have to play that way because right now, again, I'm looking at this Cleveland-Indiana score. It's almost halftime. It's a very close game. Regardless of who wins this game, who wins the series, if you're the Knicks, you're capable of winning the next round. If it's Indiana, you have more talent than Indiana. You should be a better team than Indiana. Obviously, we know Indiana presents a lot of difficulties. And then, Cleveland it does not seem to be themselves right now. So who knows there? And they don't seem to be healthy either. This has to be treated as so precious, this opportunity that they have in front of. And I understand that even if they do what they're supposed to do and get through the Eastern Conference, which they are, that is what they should do right now. They may get to the finals and Oklahoma City might be waiting for them there, and it might be just too large a hill to climb. Well, guess what? Next year, is that hill going to get is it going to get more steep or less steep? To say nothing of, God forbid, San Antonio is like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo because they can easily if they want to. They have the goods. And that becomes a thing next year. And, pick any other number of West teams that could, the freaking Rockets could get Kevin Durant. Like all of these teams could get a lot better. So who knows? You never know when is your best opportunity. This might be the Knicks' best opportunity, and if it is, go seize it. That's all. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it other than that.
Even though you just advise Celtics fans to go bet on the Celtics to come back and win the series.
If I was a Celtics fan, I would put $10 down or $20. Sure, why not?
You are in the minority amongst Celtics fans. I'll give you that information now because they're not on the low post. But I'll say this: the mood in Celtics land that I catch, which who cares? I'm literally just reporting from the pregame pod perspective, like. When the game was winding down and when Bridges hit that fadeaway to put them up 7, the thought or the feeling seems to have been, well, there goes the series. And then when Tatum went down, it was like, so there goes the game. And then Tatum went down and it was, well, there goes the season. And then it starts to trickle down even further. It's like, there goes next season too. Like there's levels to what's going on with the Celtics between what's
I understand
up with Porzingis and how bad Horford has looked on one-day rest and
I totally
Holiday.
Get all of that. Mm-hmm. May I refer you to the mood of Knicks fans after Game 2 against the Pistons, and after Game 5 against the Pistons, and after Game 3 against the Celtics, and after the end of the regular season with losses to the Pistons and Cavs, and after losses to pick any number of 20 some odd games this season, that after the Knicks lost the game, there were people who were despondent. I think Brian Windhorst has been.
I knew you were going this direction. Go ahead.
Saying some silly things over the last few days. The one thing that he said that is not silly, because if you look at the track record, it is basically fact. The Celtics win games when you expect them to lose them, and they lose games when you expect them to win them. There's not a person alive who thinks, maybe not a person alive, but like nobody, to your point, the Celtics supporters are not expecting them to win Game 5. I hope the Knicks take that game extremely seriously. And I'm not saying like, if they lose Game 5, they're going to lose the series. No, I'm not saying that at all. I didn't say that with Game 3. I'm not saying about Game 5. But you'd be doing yourself a real favor if you could take care of business and not potentially open, Pandora's box here and get yourself into a danger zone. That's all.
Yeah, Wendy, come on the pod or whatever. We'd love to have you on so we can hear things you said. I think he said some things as well that are.
I didn't reference those things. He's things
just for television, which good for him. You gotta make a product, and I think that to every example you gave of Knicks moods, we didn't lose our best player for a year and a half potentially in the moment, which is why it's just a completely different conversation. And look, I agree with you that the Knicks should do everything they can to try and wrap this thing up on Wednesday or when you're listening to this today, so that they don't let any hope or feeling creep in. But reading the stuff from Jay King, talking to my buddy Jack that was in the locker room last night, there's an opportunity to send them home after they just suffered a devastating loss. And
yes,
I think this Knicks team will be up for the occasion. You might get a boost from your home crowd, fine, but 3 to win 1, I'm now in the place of more thinking about. It's why I brought up the May 2000 conversation. Like, where were you the last time the Knicks were in the conference finals? It's okay to start thinking about the last time the Knicks accomplished something like this.
Trust me, I'm thinking. I have thought about it already, against my better judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on with Ian earlier today, and he asked about how does the Tatum injury impact my thoughts about the rest of the series. I obviously, it is the whole thing, but my point to him was like, I have all the respect in the world for the Celtics. They have all the talent in the world. What Tatum gives them, what Tatum is able to do for them, and the skill set that Tatum brings to initiate that offense, no one else could replicate it. Jaylen Brown is a really, 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 really good NBA player. He's not Jayson Tatum. He can't run an offense like Jayson Tatum. He doesn't command the respect, as a pull-up threat that Jayson Tatum does, and that has had the Knicks seeing, ghosts since opening night. So I'm not sitting here and diminishing how important Jayson Tatum is to Boston. Hence, my answer from 20 minutes ago, when you asked me why I don't blame anybody for making the Tatum thing the biggest story, because his injury changes everything. It's just, again,
you need to respect the opponent. I get it.
It's a talented team over there that has a lot of guys with a lot of pride and a lot of ability. And if you go out and you do not treat this with the level of urgency, there's that word that we heard after game 3 that the Knicks didn't have. If you don't treat it with the proper level of urgency, you will regret it. I feel very comfortable saying that. That's all.
I have learned, and this is probably the last thing I'll say today, like where we were when we did our mini therapy session after the Cavs game at the end of the season to where we are now. I'm starting to think some things about this team that I didn't all season long. And the fact that I now trust that they'll be able to win one of the next 3 games against a team that just had their heart ripped out. I mean, the unseriousness factor that we talked about against the Pistons, I think it's gone. I know we're a game removed from them again in game 3 against the Celtics, maybe not meeting the moment, but they also played a Celtics team that came out very desperate, got hot early, and the Knicks, they just couldn't get it going. It was almost if they tried to match the moment. And then watching yesterday, I don't know, I'm starting to really respect this team in a ways that I probably should have a little bit more, a 51-win team during the season. And yeah, they have one more win in them in this series. I have to believe that. And it's a Brunson thing. It's a Tibbs thing. It's a Hart thing. It's a Cat. It's a Bridges. It's an Anunoby thing.
Yeah.
Like this team is starting to earn the belief that a lot of people didn't have in them all season. And I think talking about the Celtics coming back is appropriate and fine, necessary to the context of what they're facing. But if anybody knows what they're facing or what opportunities ahead of them, it's them, so us reacting to it and analyzing, I think I'm ready to go along for the ride with them on Wednesday night for a chance to do something they haven't done since before my little brother was existing,
No, I am too. They have showed us a lot. Mikal Bridges in particular has shown that's been the biggest change for me personally.
Nick for life. Nick for life. Nick legend, John, at this point.
He's, I mean, you make the trade again now, any day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Have another
pick. Sure, why not?
Have another
pick two. But even as I say that, he is saving a lot of it for the fourth quarters of these games
when it matters.
Yes, but here's the thing, Andrew. The first three quarters, they also actually do matter. They do count.
In this series, have they?
Well, no. Look, apparently not, and that's good for New York. But I am still, it is we are less than 24 hours removed from the sensation. Actually, we might be exactly 24 hours removed from the sensation of watching that game in the first half, and I'm sitting in my office chair, like clutching the chair, being like, "Oh my God, they're a bad 90 seconds away from this being a 20+ point deficit." Like, that team still exists. Now, again, I understand that was against Tatum. I understand it colors everything. I'm not trying to diminish that. They have my respect. I trust their ability to go out there and perform against a team now that they should be able to handle. I just go do it. That's all I'm asking. Just go do it. And then I'll be happy.
I'm looking forward to them doing it, and then you being happy.
And then we get to I'll have a whole nother, if we're lucky enough to get there. The madness will end so it could begin again.
Let me say one more thing before we wrap up.
Sure.
So Stephon Marbury, friend of Instagram, by the way, but he tags us in a lot of his stuff. He posted yes. So Instagram was bought by Facebook. It's an app where you post pictures and videos.
I know what Instagram is.
Sometimes there's stories that you can share that are bite-sized. We post a lot of clips on there. And Stephon Marbury, who tags us and some of us, shout out to Steph. We'd love to have you on sometime. He posted a video last night of his perspective. He took a video live while sitting courtside of Brunson's fadeaway 2-pointer to cut it to 83-81. So this was the Bridges transition 3 that missed. Anunoby gets the rebound. He passes it out to Brunson, who backs down Derek White, does his patented fadeaway. It hits. Mazzulla calls timeout. Stephon Marbury is recording the entire thing. And as the timeout is called, he pans around and you see who's sitting near him. And it's Amari going crazy. And it's Latrell Sprewell going crazy. And Larry Johnson and John Starks and this entire group of Knicks alumni. And in that moment, watching the reel, I actually had a weird goosebumps feel of like, we're 6-7 years removed from Charles Oakley being escorted out by security. And I know that's a completely different context, but the whole concept of building for this, like what Mikal said, we built for this. What we've got shirts in the Knicks Film School store. We built for this. Like, they've now built a fraternity here of guys that, unfortunately, to NBA standards, didn't accomplish the big goal, didn't win championships, but they know that their home here is on the verge of something. And when the Knicks are winning, it's not just for themselves. It's not just for their fan base. It's for them too. All the Knicks of the past, all of these like legends, whether it's a legend like Melo that's going to be in the Hall of Fame, or Tim Thomas, who was here for a cup of coffee. And it's just the coolest thing that they've created this old timers baseline row. And I'm looking so much forward to not past this series, not past like what the Knicks do with one more win, but the fact that they've built to this point. Like, this is a thing that's here to stay, because this was here last year. And they brought that feeling to this year's playoff too, with all the alumni sitting courtside and Ben Stiller and the Jenners and Tim Chalamet. It's just the coolest thing that they've built that and hits and tugs at the heartstrings of this Knicks fan.
Well, it's cool for two reasons. One, for as much as this franchise has sucked for the better part of 2 decades before this era of basketball, they've had a lot of good players pass through here, or like some great players, and at the very least, a lot of good players. And, obviously that goes back to the 90s, and there are a lot of people from the 90s, like Starks, Ewing, obviously Houston is there. He's employed, Sprewell, Cammy's around, LJ, the whole, that crew. So all of these, you have all these guys, Bernard King going back to the 80s. You have all these guys that are there, and it is a bit of a who's who, even as many, those teams did not accomplish the ultimate goal, but they would not be there if there was not a shared belief in and excitement about this team. And I think that's a credit to a lot of people, but I think it's probably a credit to Jalen Brunson more than anyone. And the fact that he is here, and the fact that everybody who has ever played basketball, watched basketball, understands, like, he's here so they have a chance. And that's why, to your larger point in this conversation about starting to get excited about what might be in store for the first time since 2000, and hopefully for the first time since 1999. I mean, hell, we again, who knows where we go, but it's you. That's why I think it's because of Jalen, and it's cool. And he had his moment last night, and it was an awesome moment. And I'm really happy he did, because now we could sit here and we could have this conversation. And how cool is that?
In the words of Jonathan Macri, but slightly edited, go win one more.
Yes, please go win one more. That's all I ask.
So he can relax, please, and maybe take it. And Cleveland, go in at least 2 more and then play a 7 overtime game 7, please. I know that they're up 4 at halftime. So for all we know, when this airs, they've already lost 1 more.
They were up by like 20.
Oh, yeah, I know. And then the leads don't really exist against the Pacers. They go there to evaporate, which is, look, I got respect for the Pacers if they're the opponent. Believe me, I like their chances against them instead of the Cavs. Not even at that point. Like I said, go win 1 more. We're still in our series, so we'll get past this first.
I dig it. This is fun. You're nodding. It was. I'm glad. I needed to talk this one out tonight, because I just it's been quite a day, and I can't believe we're going to wake up tomorrow morning and they're going to be playing another basketball game. I'm not sure I'm mentally or emotionally ready for that. But life comes at you fast. So here it is. I could use another day off. I'll say that. Hopefully
even more of a reason for them to win in 5, please.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
For us. Just specifically Knicks Film School employees.
Just Knicks Film School. Me yes. And you. Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, everybody out there, for checking out another edition of the Knicks Film School podcast. Obviously, we're going to be here for all of the fun stuff coming up, including post game for Game 5 and whatever may come beyond that. Until then, everybody enjoy your week and take care.